Hey everyone, and welcome to Instea Unfiltered, where we chat sans filter about what life in Insti and beyond is like with some inspiring women who have graduated in the last few years. I'm Niharika,
And I'm Shruti.
and we're the hosts for this podcast. We're both recent alumni of IIT Madras. I did my BTech in engineering physics, and I'm currently pursuing a PhD in applied physics at Stanford.
And I graduated with an integrated master's in English studies from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at Instea. Yes, we have a Department of Humanities. And I'm now working as a teacher educator in Chennai. Last year, during a chance conversation between us, as we waxed nostalgic about our student life in Instea, Niharika and I, we felt that there's so much information about navigating Instea life, be it about coursework, research, leadership, networking, and many other things, that's often hidden and concentrated within very small circles.
Yeah, before I entered Insti, I had no exposure to what academia was all about. And what I always heard about a PhD was that it goes on forever and that you needed to discover something. And while that is true to some extent, that phrasing made it feel like going into a PhD program was something reserved for once in a generation geniuses who could contribute something path breaking, like the theory of relativity. It was only at the end of my second year when I had the chance to interact with some seniors and early career professors where I found out what was actually expected, which is an incremental original contribution to the field. And that made pursuing a PhD seem way more within our reach.
I had a similar experience with how I viewed the master's thesis project that we were supposed to undertake in our final year. I actually had no idea that it needn't be the magnum opus of my life, and that a master's thesis is more about mastering the skills needed to write a thesis. Being committed to a single topic, reading widely and consistently, and producing a long and coherent piece of written work. And this was what a thesis was about, more than it is about publishing the next path breaking work in the humanities.
Right. I also thought when I was in Insti that I had to figure out very early on what I wanted to do after graduating. And to give myself the best shot at doing that, that I had to build a lot of experience exactly aligned with that goal. Like a PhD in field X meant that I had to do a lot of internships in the field X, starting maybe even my second year, which is definitely not true. Or that a research internship in Y meant that I was stuck in that field forever, which is definitely not true.
Same here. There was a time when I was uh, probably during my second year when I felt that if my next internship experience didn't align absolutely perfectly with the hyper specific field that I wanted to enter after graduation, I felt that it was better not to pursue any internship at all. Again, not true. Of course, I mean, we did try to seek advice from mentor figures, professors, seniors, parents, and friends. But very often, when I went to immediate seniors to get advice, most of the times the advice that I got was confusing to me. Even though it was well meaning, it came from a place of genuine concern. But the advice was confusing, primarily because the seniors that I went to were too close in age and experience to Insti, which meant that they, or at least most of them, were also inevitably trapped in the warped sense of reality that Insti creates for you.
Right. And while almost all of the Fundy sessions were really well meaning, my peers and I often walked away feeling a little bit more defeated than when we entered, especially if we didn't fit the archetype discussed in the session. We focused a little bit too much on all the reasons why we couldn't make it instead of all of the reasons why we could. And a lot of that was a product of conflating two very different things, becoming a good researcher and getting into a nice place. And that led to so much unnecessary stress.
And when it comes to stress, what is talked about even less is the fact that it is extremely difficult to break the Insta experience down to your parents, who are completely clueless, bless their souls, about how stressful the degree can actually get.
Right. And even when they try to build you up, what I noticed for me and my friends was that we had a very low benchmark on who we were ready to imbibe our cynicism from, but a very high bar for whose optimism we were willing to accept.
And looking back, we feel that our Insta experience might have been more well rounded, at least a little bit, had we found mentorship from alumni who graduated recently enough to provide topical advice within the fields that we wanted to pursue, but also had enough distance in time and space from Insta to offer a more calming perspective.
So clearly, there just needs to be more open conversation, especially for those in the junior years of their degree, on what to expect from INSTE, what avenues for exploration it offers, and how you can make the most of it. So we decided to start a podcast bringing together many women to share what we wish we knew as freshies in INSTE.
And this will be a series of 6 episodes where we take you through the journeys of many women from very different backgrounds, all of whom pursued an undergraduate education in INSTE and who have since moved on to a range of different domains, including academia, industry, and entrepreneurship. So here's INSTE
Unfiltered.